Thank you for downloading this episode of Folk on Foot. Before we start, I just wanted to share a brief message. If you like what we do, we really need your support to keep going. You can join our wonderful band of members and you'll get great rewards. These include access to our amazing Folk on Foot on Film archive of hundreds of songs shot on location on our travels around the UK and Ireland. To sign up, just go to folkonfoot.com/support us. You'll also get an ad-free version of all our episodes and an email postcard from me each time we go on a walk. If you just want the ad-free version, it'll cost you £3 a month, and you can get it through your Apple Podcast app or at folkonfoot.com/support us. Finally, if you don't want to make a regular commitment but do want to show how much you love us, you can simply buy us a coffee. You can also do that at folkonfoot.com/support us. Every penny we get goes back into making more episodes of Folk on Foot. So thank you and enjoy the walk. The sun is beating down and we're in mid-Wales on a July morning. We're here to meet the harpist and multi-instrumentalist Cerys Hafana, who's bursting onto the folk scene by taking ancient and traditional Welsh melodies and songs and recreating them for a modern audience. We're going to go for a walk with them in the hills. We're going to see the old quarries and slate mines. And above all, we're going to hear their beautiful music in this glorious setting. Cerys, good morning. How lovely to see you.
Good morning. Nice to see you too.
What a glorious day this is. Is this atypical weather for this area?
It's very atypical. I think this is the only day of this weather that they're going to get this year.
It's going to be one of the hottest days of the year, isn't it?
Yes.
We've got our hats, I've got my sunscreen on, and you've got your harp.
I have. It's not ideal hot weather accessory, but there was nothing we could do about that.
How much does it weigh?
It weighs 15 kilograms.
Right. And are you okay to carry it on the walk?
Well, we'll find out.
You want that?
Yes,
and just tell us exactly where we are.
We're currently standing on the edge of Corris, which is a village a little bit north of Machynlleth, where I live. It's an old slate mining village. So yeah, hopefully we're going to see some old slate mines and slate mine buildings today.
And we're going to walk along the river?
Yes.
Which river is it?
It's the Disused river, which comes through Corris and gets to Machynlleth. Sometimes I swim in it. Disused means blue-black. It's very cold. It's blue-black all year round.
Wonderful. Well, let's get going. Take up your harp and walk.
I shall.
So as we've come to a hill, you've now handed me the harp, which is very happy. But I'm interested to know how you came to this area in the first place. Was your family from here?
No, I was born in Manchester and my parents both grew up in England. But we moved to Machynlleth when I was 5 because my mum's family originally is from Bethesda in North Wales. And she had a very strong connection to the place but hadn't been raised there and wanted her kids to grow up with that connection as well and speaking Welsh. And yeah, my dad works in renewable energy and there's a lot of that around here, so that's why we moved here specifically.
There's a centre for renewable energy, isn't there?
There is, yeah, just really close to where we are now, the Centre for Alternative Technology, which yeah was quite a big part of growing up here, days out there looking at wind turbines.
And what's the community like here?
I mean, it's amazing. It's, Machynlleth is a pretty small town by most standards, but it's got a really kind of diverse and vibrant community. Interesting mix of, people who've lived here for generations and work in kind of agriculture, and incomers who are mostly here because of some sort of connection to the Centre for Alternative Technology. So yeah, that makes it an interesting dynamic and I think a really interesting place to grow up.
And other people living alternative lifestyles here as well?
Yes, I mean out in the hills, quite a lot of that going on.
Yeah. I mean it's a spectacular landscape here. We're just climbing a hill but we can see over to the left this wooded hill, and then behind us there's another wooded hill with pine trees growing up it, so you can hear I'm a bit out of breath going up there. Up the hill. Somebody walking their dog ahead of us.
Yeah, it's an incredible landscape. It's such a kind of deep, steep valley, wooded hills on every side, and yeah, it's great to see it in daylight. I'm not sure I ever have before.
So it's often raining here, is it?
It's pretty much always raining, yeah.
And did you grow up speaking Welsh?
I speak English with my family, but I went to a Welsh school from when I was 5 when we moved here. So yeah, I did all of my education in Welsh and speak in Welsh with lots of my friends, and a lot of my work is in Welsh.
And sing in Welsh?
Yes, sing in Welsh.
And what attracted you to look into the traditional music of this area?
It was kind of an accident really, because I started having harp lessons with my mum's Welsh teacher, and she just happened to be a folk harpist and a triple harpist rather than a classical harpist, which wasn't a distinction we knew anything about, so it wasn't a choice. But I just really enjoyed it. I'd been doing classical piano for a few years beforehand and had never felt that enthusiastic about it, and then getting to do folk music just made it all make a bit more sense, make it seem more fun.
Right, so let's talk then briefly about the difference between the classical harp and the triple harp, because you play the triple harp, which is very much associated with Wales, isn't it?
It is, yeah, and strangely, because it's originally from Italy and it was a Baroque instrument, but then it's, for some reason, it's sort of clung on in Wales and hasn't really anywhere else, because the pedal harp, the classical harp, was invented and is just a much better solution to trying to play chromatic music, because it's got the foot pedals that change the key for you as you play, and whereas the triple harp has technically all the notes on it that you need, but obviously a third of them are in the middle, which makes them really difficult to reach.
So it has 3 sets of strings side by side to give you the sharps and flats.
Yeah, the 2 outside rows are tuned like the white notes, and the middle row are tuned like the black notes.
And is it a very difficult instrument to learn?
It kind of depends on what you're trying to do with it. The main difficulty when you start out learning is just the visual confusion, because you're kind of seeing triple, and that's the thing that throws people off for a bit, but you do eventually get used to that.
So what, looking through the strings distracts the eye?
Yes. I mean, historically lots of Welsh triple harpists were blind, I think possibly because it was easier to not have to look at it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
And did you start immediately playing repertoire that had been traditionally handed down from other players in the past?
Yeah, I started on a lever harp, but always playing traditional Welsh stuff, and then moved on to the triple harp about 3 years in. But I didn't get my own triple harp for another kind of 5 years, because they're really difficult to come by, so I just had to borrow my harp teachers for like a week before any kind of big performance or whatever to practice.
So this is a triple harp we've got here with us today?
Yes, this is a Turkish triple harp that I got in January for carrying up mountains and taking on aeroplanes.
So we're just turning to the right now onto a path climbing up through the woods, shaded by the trees, which in today's heat is really welcome. And the stream, a water outlet, just pouring down the side of the hill. Again, the feeling of water feels really good. And what can we see here?
I think this is the Italian village.
The Italian village, what's that?
It's a sort of miniature Italian style model village on the side of a Welsh mountain, as you do.
Is it a bit like Port Miriam?
It's kind of like a Portmeirion that's been through too hot a wash, yeah. There's like a miniature Leaning Tower of Pisa.
Oh yes. So we can actually see miniature buildings set into the side of the hill. Look like Roman buildings, don't they?
Yes.
With pillars and towers and different coloured tiles and bricks. Who do you think put it here?
I think it was built by a local man called Mark Bourne, who had been to Italy and liked it very much, and yeah, came home and built a version out of concrete.
An extraordinary thing to do. But what a great backdrop for your playing. Let's get the harp out and sit you on that stool.
Cool, I'll just tune it.
Yeah, having been carted up a hill.
Quite a lot of tuning.
How many strings are there?
I haven't counted the ones on this one, but I'd imagine it's about 90.
Keep going.
And because it's still fairly new, it does go out more. And it's just come back from Portugal, so it's had quite a challenging few weeks.
And the heat can't be good for it.
Yeah, it's the changes in heat and changes in humidity. So yeah, this is probably a nightmare place for it to be, damp and hot. Although it's done quite well. I'm quite surprised by how in tune it is, considering we've just carried it up a hill. It's quite good though, because it is a Baroque style triple harp rather than a Welsh style, and we're in quite a Baroque Italian setting, so that's happened nicely.
What's the difference between a Baroque style triple harp and a Welsh one?
I'm not sure of the complete specifications, but I mean this one has the holes in the front rather than the holes in the back, although this one does also now have holes in the back because we had to get a pickup installed. It's not ideal to drill holes into the back of a harp, but we had no choice. They also generally have a different sound. Baroque triple harps tend to have a much lighter sound, whereas the Welsh triple harps, I think the Welsh people kind of wanted their triple harps to sound as much like pianos as they possibly could, so they just sort of got bigger and louder, and mine especially has very heavy strings for a triple harp, and is also just generally very heavy and built out of oak, sort of a dark wood, whereas this is a light wood. And yeah, they tend to be a little bit more maybe ornate. This one's got minimal decoration, but it's still got the kind of gold edging, which generally Welsh triple harps don't have. Although my harp teacher did have a harp with a engraved Welsh dragon eating a leek on it, which I guess is quite ornate.
And the strings, presumably in the past, would have been made of gut. What are they made of now?
Yeah, the strings on this one are made of nylon, which is great because it apparently will never break and I'll never have to change a string. The strings on my usual triple harp are still made out of gut. They just sound better, which is a shame because I'm vegetarian.
So you'd rather have the nylon strings?
Morally, but my other harp has 90 strings on it, so the act of swapping them all out at once would be expensive, and sort of changing them as they break makes it a bit weird because some strings have a different kind of resonance to others. So I think that's my excuse for being stuck with gut.
Well, we'll talk more about tradition versus modernity in a moment, but let me leave you to get on with your tuning.
Painting the Eiffel Tower situation where I'll have to start the second I finish.
So what are you going to play, Cerys?
I'm going to play an original piece called Tri Cant Pumdeg Mlynedd off my new album, based around a folk song that I found in the National Library about a man who goes for a walk in a forest and hears a bird singing and accidentally falls asleep for 350 years because the bird sounds so beautiful. I really liked the song, so I sort of split it in half and have built this album up around those two halves. And the title Tri Cant Pumdeg Mlynedd means 350 years, so it's kind of the part where he's asleep.
was so beautiful, so delicate. How does it feel to play it just sitting here underneath this Italian
it felt
city?
amazing. I was really enjoying the birds joining in. I hadn't really noticed them until I started playing, and then it was like, oh wow, they're really going for it.
I just want to get my note out because I made a note of something that it said on your website about your music, which it says, Cerys Hafana is a composer and multi-instrumentalist who mangles, mutates and transforms traditional music. So the traditional music is the starting point, and then you go off in all sorts of directions.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah.
Hence the pickup.
Yeah, well, I mean, the pickup is mostly just for practicality. I guess triple harps in the past weren't playing at noisy festivals with monitors, and trying to do that with a microphone just becomes a kind of experimental noise set.
But have you used electronics as well?
A little bit. It's definitely something I'd like to explore more in the future. There was a little bit of manipulated sounds, the sound of me hitting a water bottle on my second album, and then an EP of weird English language folk stuff that I made during COVID was probably the most electronic that I've gotten. But yeah, I mean, the bulk of it is fairly acoustic, but just in a kind of more contemporary style.
So let's talk more then about your musical process. Do you go out deliberately to research, to look for fragments of old songs and old tunes?
Yeah, I'm quite a lazy researcher really, and I just use the Welsh National Library's online archive. They've done an amazing job of digitising a large amount of folk music archive. There's a lot of these like little manuscripts of notebooks that people wrote bits of tunes out, and
so
sorry,
kind
I got
of a rich
distracted
resource.
by how amazing this looks now that we're in the forest.
Oh yeah, we found another bit of the Italian village with an Italian inscription and carved heads.
Bits of blue ceramic is nice.
And this says Wilfred Owen on it for some reason, some random reason, but maybe it's a sort of imitation of a grave. And what does it say up here? Let's have a look. Passing bells for those who die as cattle, only the monstrous anger of the guns. That sounds like a quote from Wilfred Owen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And there's a wooden construction behind in the woods there. But it's even more extensive than I thought. It's not just miniature, it's actually life-size here. Quite remarkable. And it's sort of starting to decay and starting to be overtaken by bits of ivy growing through it. And the stone is starting to crumble, so it looks ancient, but I think it's concrete, isn't it?
Yeah, if you look closely, there's small details of multi-storey car park, aren't there?
Yes, exactly. The Roman multi-storey car park. And we're climbing up now between rows of pine trees, and with a stone wall on either side of the quite wide path, but lots and lots of pine needles and pine branches underfoot. So we were just talking about your practice. So then you come across a wonderful fragment of old music. What happens then?
In the case of the melodies, which was something I did quite a lot for my second album, I kind of just played around with them until I had something that felt good. They were fun to play with because lots of them are quite kind of wonkily written out. You know, there'd be like a time signature missing, or the tune would start in the wrong part of the bar, so then you kind of, that made me feel like I had slightly more free range to do something even stranger with it, because it was already slightly weird. But in the case of like the more recent album that's coming out, it was just this one song, because the National Library also has this amazing ballads database where they've kind of collected all of these old like news ballads and hymns that were written by, I don't know, like amateur hymn writers, put them all in one place, and then you can just search words into this database and they'll show you all the songs that relate to that word. So a lot of my songs use words from that archive with then music that I write, and this album is based around one that I found, which is about, I searched the word angel into the database because people are always saying that I'm like an angel and it sort of annoys me. So I had the word in my head and I thought it would be funny to do something around that. And I was also kind of keen to find like songs about supernatural experiences. I feel like there's a real lack of those in the Welsh folk tradition. I think because I'd started kind of dipping my toe into like English folk songs, which I'd never done before, and realised that there were a few that were about ghostly encounters and strange things, and was just aware that there weren't really any that I knew of in the kind of Welsh folk canon, or maybe one, but it felt that particular one is just like a list of all of the rumoured ghosts in Wales, and it felt very kind of Victorian and I don't know, just a bit kind of
bit fake
and a bit of a novelty song. And I think it's probably got something to do with the Methodists and them not really appreciating songs about the supernatural.
Right.
Or maybe there's just not a lot of that.
But this song about the quotes angel must have leapt out at you.
It really did, because I think I've realised that basically if you want Welsh folk songs about supernatural or just kind of strange experiences, you have to accept that most of them are going to be very Christian, and a lot of them are amazing and really kind of visceral and intense, and I'm not Christian, but I really enjoy the imagery and the intenseness of them. And this one stood out to me because it just felt like it contained so many layers of Welsh kind of history and culture. The bare bones of the story feel like just a myth or a folk story. It's a man who goes for a walk in a forest and hears a bird and falls asleep and then goes home and everything's changed.
And he's been asleep for
350
years.
350 years, which just feels very...
And is the bird an angel?
Well, that's the kind of plot twist, and that's like the next layer of the song.
Sorry, am I giving away the end? Spoiler alert.
It is an angel. According to the song, it's funny. It's like, this could just be a folk tale in which a bird makes a man fall asleep for 350 years, but now it's had this like Methodist stamp on it, and the bird was an angel, and it was a sign, and this man was delighted because it was all he wanted was a sign from God, and he got this angel, and then when he realised that he'd had a visit from an angel, he turns into a pile of dust, I guess because he's 350 years old, but he's very happy about it because he's seen an angel, heard an angel. And then the last verse just goes like, this is just a story that I read about in a book and I turned it into a song for you all to sing, which is another like layer of Welsh culture of like, just want some songs to sing. And none of it's real. It's kind of a bit woke up and it was all a dream, So I think that's what really like struck me, was just how kind of layered it felt as like an object.
And so you took that as a jumping off point and divided it in two, so to bookend the album, is that right?
Yeah, it was very, very long, so I took out quite a lot of verses and then still chopped it in half and made 2 songs out of it.
Well, are you going to sing it for us?
I'm going to sing the second half for you.
And you might have some accompaniment, because I think I can hear a cricket really loudly.
Yeah, it feels like a very strange accompaniment in Wales. It feels kind of sonically like we're in a different place.
That's absolutely beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
And I heard a description of your music by somebody saying something about looking out of the window while doing the washing up. What was it they said?
Yeah, I can't remember exactly, but I was doing an interview for a Welsh magazine, and the journalist was, I think, disagreeing with someone else's description of my music, which might have involved it being energetic or something, and he was saying, I think it's more like the sort of music you'd listen to cry whilst doing the washing up.
And looking out of the window at the Welsh hills in the rain, I think it was, wasn't it? I don't know. I mean, on a sunny day like today,
difficult to imagine, isn't it?
It's hard to imagine. Yeah, but there is a sort of melancholy or a sadness underlying that song, isn't there?
Yes, I think everything that I've ever made has a sort of underlying melancholy. I also have a theory about Welsh folk music which isn't necessarily applicable to this piece, but you know, in like music lessons, you're taught that major key music is happy and minor key music is sad, but I think if you look at Welsh folk music, it seems to be the other way round, and that it's all the saddest songs are in a major key, and there's something really kind of wistful and melancholic about it specifically, rather than just being kind of dark and miserable.
And does that speak to you, the melancholy?
Yes, it does, especially like making music on the harp. I think you need to bring a certain level of melancholy to the harp, otherwise it is just like angel music, which nobody wants.
And you're fed up of being described as an angel. Let's keep going towards the quarry.
Great.
What do you think this path used to be?
I'm guessing it used to be the train line for getting slate back from the quarry. It looks about the right width for that. It's quite a substantial, it's not just a footpath.
There's a big gradient though, isn't it, to get a train up?
Yeah.
Might have had one of those sort of funicular railway type things, or they pull the railway up. Because there's a quarry at the top here.
Yes, there is. And I did notice down back at the Italian village there was some what looked like railway or mining equipment, bit of rusted metal sort of in amongst all of the Italian stuff.
And this stone wall is really remarkable. Dry stone wall, which was on both sides a moment ago, but now is just on our left to stop us heading down the hill. But a really fine piece of work, but now covered in moss.
It's holding up well though, isn't it? I would love to know how long it's done.
Many years, I would imagine. And there's a great big fallen tree here we're going to have to circumnavigate, which has obviously fallen across the path and then been chopped to let the path continue. But that was a huge pine tree, come down maybe in a storm. It smells of pine, doesn't it? It smells.
I can just see up there's some of that fencing which feels very evocative of this part of Wales to me, the kind of slate made out of the shards of slate from the mine just along there, if you can see it behind the trees.
Oh yes.
They're kind of quite like jagged and brutal looking fences out of bits of slate.
Oh yes.
And it's also gotten suddenly a lot wilder. We're out of the pine. The pine is very striking, but it's also quite barren. It's a bit of a monoculture, isn't it?
And there's no leaves on the bottoms of the trees.
No, not at all native to this area, I don't think. But now we're in the kind of wild bit.
More broadleaf trees.
Yes.
But we're still climbing up, and coming towards, ahead of us is another big hill. But I think we're going to go round to the right, to the quarry.
We're nearing something that looks like some sort of quarry. I can see the
over to the left, you can see the
there,
spoil there, can't you? So I imagine that this would have been a working area. There would have been a lot of activity and a lot of men working here in the Victorian era. And now the trees are opening up on our left. What can we see over there?
I think just round this tree, a second ago we could see Cadair Idris, which is the biggest mountain in this area. Very significant, beautiful mountain. Cadair Idris sort of means the chair of Idris, and we were told as kids that it was a chair for Idris the giant to sit on, but I think it's actually a version of the word Caer, which means fort. So there used to be a fort right on the top. I haven't actually been to the top of it, which is disgraceful because I've lived here for 19 years, but we have done a few Christmas days walking halfway up because there's an amazing lake about halfway up the mountain, and yeah, it's a great place to go.
And are you a walker? Do you go to walking regularly?
We used to quite a lot, and then in the last sort of year, I think just because I'm always working on weekends, it never quite happens. But I guess living here, you sort of take it for granted and don't really think of it as walking as a specific activity. You're just kind of popping out.
Yes, into the extraordinary landscape. Yeah. And we are actually almost encircled by hills here, aren't we? We can look right round and see the hill line on the horizon.
It is quite amazing. I mean, it's amazing to have come up this high and now have this completely different view. Before it was all just pine trees on hills, and now we've got, the Cerys and the other mountains around. I am so used to driving through them down below because it's the main road to get north, and it's cool to be looking at them from a different angle.
So we're going on up through the woods, and there's more and more slate underfoot here. Oh, and just through the trees there's a ruined building. Would these be signs of a mine, do you think?
I think so. There's a really big one just down there.
Yeah.
That one looks a bit house-like, but I'm not sure.
So people might have lived
Yeah.
up here as well and worked. And then I think there's a stream just ahead of us here. It's a rather cooling sound.
It's quite a relief,
After
isn't
this
it?
hot day, yeah. And there's a big wall with the sun glinting on it. I wonder if we should just cross over the stream here and go and have a look in that ruin.
Yeah.
So we can actually go inside, but a tree's growing up in the middle. I love these decaying buildings where nature is starting to come back. There are ferns all over the place, and then 2 or 3 or 4, 5 trees maybe. Do you think that was a fireplace in the corner?
I think so, yeah. I love those big stones above the fireplaces. But
The mantle
yeah.
stone, I suppose.
But yeah, I think this must have been a house. It looks about the right size.
No roof.
Roof
and
long gone.
the walls are kind of decaying, but you can still see the shape of it.
It is amazing to think of people living out here, because it feels quite remote, doesn't it? And we've just walked for however long up a hill, and it doesn't feel like there's a more accessible way to get here.
Yeah, I don't suppose they were getting any deliveries from Tesco's up here. So they would have had to cart all their
Everything,
provisions and anything that they needed for firewood that would come from the trees around, presumably.
They'd have had plenty of slate.
Yeah, slate in abundance. So there was mining going on in this area, wasn't there?
Yeah, we could also see the Aberllefenni one just across the valley just now, which is massive. And I think that's the one that's kind of well known for being where people used to drive cars into when they wanted to get rid of their cars. And that's also the one that used to keep me awake as a kid for several years, because I was so scared of the idea of falling into the bottom of it.
Have you been inside any of the mines ever?
I've been inside the Corris Craft Centre mine, which is, a proper look into the mine, and it's incredible because there are these enormous caverns that are just, it makes no sense. Basically, the whole mountain is hollow, and you're kind of walking through all of these really narrow tunnels, and then suddenly you open out and they turn the torch on, and it's like, oh wow, this is huge.
Like a sort of cathedral underground.
Cathedral-sized, yeah. Really strange to think that was where people used to work.
And do you identify with all that heritage and history in this area? Is that something that means a lot to you?
It does, but more the connection to Bethesda in North Wales, where my grandma is from. So her dad worked in the slate mine, and generations back would have worked there. Yeah, even though I've not spent a lot of time there, I do feel a connection to that kind of aspect of the Welsh history. And I guess in Machynlleth you're less aware of it. The slate mining thing isn't a part of the culture, it's much more agricultural. So then it's kind of cool just driving 10 minutes north and we're here, and this feels much more like that aspect of Wales.
Would you like to sing a song in this rather atmospheric ruined house?
I think I would. I think I'd like to try and find a spot amongst all of the branches and slot in. Yeah.
And sing what?
It's a song called Carol Mynyddog, which means Mynyddog's Carol. It's a Welsh May carol written by the poet Mynyddog. May carols are a collection of Welsh songs that are sung in May, I guess, to welcome back the spring and the summer. It's a sort of similar tradition in a way to the Plygain, but it hasn't really survived in the same way that the Plygain has, and I think was maybe more of a like pub-based tradition than a church-based tradition. I'm not sure.
So just to be clear for those who haven't yet heard our Plygain Carol episode,
Yes.
which I think you were in,
Yes.
actually. These are carols that are sung in January,
Yeah,
around
December and
Christmas
January,
time,
yeah.
and we went to the village of Malchwyd, and we met with the local singers and with Gwilym Bowen Rees and Owen Shires Cynefin, and you were part of Owen's ensemble on that occasion.
Yes, I run Owen's ensemble. So about a week ago, that same group was singing in a church in Darowen, which is sort of near Mallwyd, at a May Carol service that was kind of one of those great like invented traditions thing where people are kind of trying to get stuff going again in places where it hasn't happened.
But it's amazing that the Plygain is still going strong. I mean, that waned and came back again as well, didn't it?
Yes, I mean, it's incredible. At least in this area, it feels like the most kind of true way of engaging in Welsh folk music tradition. It feels like the one that's really like as it would have been 100 years ago and sort of doesn't need to be anything else and is still going because just people want to do it.
And seeing people come with the tattered
Yes.
books that they'd had passed on from their grandfathers or their grandmothers, and the carols were written down in longhand there in their spidery handwriting. I mean, it's wonderful, isn't it?
It's amazing, yeah.
And where did you get this carol from, this May Carol?
This May Carol, I found the words in a book of May carols. They were brought to my attention by Brenda, who sings in the group that you've recorded in Darowen. She works for the Welsh Dictionary, so she's very knowledgeable on what songs have good words. And these words were just amazing. They felt very kind of visceral and intense, and maybe more like they're being sung from the point of view of someone who's still very much in winter and is imagining the summer rather than standing in summer going, oh, this is nice, can't wait to have more of this. And I liked that, and so I made an arrangement of these words with a different tune for the choir to sing, and then found another tune which I actually heard at a different Plygain service in Penrhyncoch, and it really stuck out to me because it's a really strange tune. It has 3 sections and each section's kind of in a different key, and when I heard the person singing it at first I thought, oh, are they just really out of tune? And then I was like, no, this tune it's meant to be doing this, and that's amazing because you don't get a lot of that in folk music. And I realised that it fit these words as well, so I put them together, and it's also on my new album.
And can you just give us a flavour of those words?
Yeah, I can give you a quick translation of my favourite verse if you want.
Yeah.
So it's, oh, come back the spring and bury the grey face of the winter in the graveyard of the seasons, and build a monument to mark its grave out of leaves and primroses and flowers. Oh, come back the spring, nature is mute and all its strings have been frozen. Tune the old harp that has been quiet for so long and awaken the beauty of the trees.
Well, I can see why it's appealed to you. It's beautiful, isn't it? It's gorgeous. What a great place to sit and sing it.
O tyred y gwanwyn cynhesau'n byd, trydanau rewllyd weithiannau. Mae natur yn curo ei gliniau ynghyd, gan anwyd ers llawer o ddyddiau. O tyrd y gwanwyn, mae llygaid y byd yn disgwyl am weled y wyneb. Tyrt dangos i'r eir a fi'n aros cyhyd, y medru ei laddaf sirioldeb. O tyrd y gwanwyn, cynhesau'n byd, mae natur yn curo ei gliniau ynghyd, gan anwyd ers llawer o ddyddiau. O tyrd y gwanwyn a chladdelwyd wedd y geaf y meddro tymhorau, a chwyd gofadeilad i ddangos ei fedd o ddail o friallu a blodau. O tyrd y gwanwyn mae natur yn fyd a'i thanau i gyd wedi rhewi. Cyweirio'r hyndelyn fi'n ddistaw cyhyd a deffro beroriaeth y llwyni. O tyrd y gwanwyn mae natur yn fyd, cyweirio'r hyndelyn fi'n ddistaw cyhyd, o deffro beroriaeth y llwyni. O tyrd y gwanwyn mae llygaid y dydd yn tyfu yn ôl dy gerddediad, wrth deimlo tynerwch dy awel iach rydd y rhosyn a egur dy lygad. O tyrd y gwanwyn anadla yn llon, anadla ail fywyd i'n bro, caniadau llawenydd. O tyred y gwanwyn a'n adlan y llon, a god I brydferthwch rhoi ffenar dyfron, I wrando caniadau llawenydd.
It was wonderful to see you sitting there in the corner, surrounded by the ferns with the sun dappling across your face, singing that spring into summer carol. Beautiful. How did it feel for you?
Felt lovely. Yeah, I love these mossy rocks. And yeah, I feel quite at home sat in the corner of this little house.
We can hear the stream going past in the background as well, which is really gorgeous. Shall we keep walking?
Yes.
I'm wondering if there's a sort of community of younger Welsh artists now, like yourself, who are keen to bring the tradition back to life and share it with a whole new generation of listeners. Are there a group of you who work together in some ways?
I mean, in a sense, yes. I was part of the National Welsh Youth Folk Ensemble for a few years, who have now gone on to become a band called Afanc, and we were mentored by Patrick Rhymes from Callan and Gwen Marry, who's a Welsh-Scottish harpist. So all those people have been very kind of instrumental to developing the next generation of young Welsh folk musicians, people like Gwilym Bowen Rhys and Owen Shires, who are both based in this area now, and they're obviously both doing amazing work, kind of finding old songs and bringing them back to life.
Who's in the audience for you? Is it people of your generation or is it people of mine?
It's a nice mix of both, I would say, a healthy combination. It depends a lot on where I'm playing and the type of venue. I seem to do alternating gigs in London where the audience is mostly grey-haired or mostly, with their phones up. And I enjoy
So you went to the Moth Club and places like that?
Yes, exactly.
Broadside Hacks and...
Yes.
You get the younger audience there.
A younger audience, yeah. And I really love the kind of the range of it. You get to engage with people in different ways, because obviously the older generation are coming from a more folky background generally, and then the young people who like my music tend to be more from a kind of pop rock contemporary world, and then it's cool kind of seeing their reaction to this folk stuff.
And why do you think young people are, as it seems, coming to folk music in larger numbers?
Yeah, I'm not sure really. It especially feels like a thing that's happening in England at the moment. There's such a massive kind of boom in young English folk bands, and I don't really have an explanation for it yet.
No, well, we discussed theories of a sort of reaction against the digital world, a sense of connecting more with authenticity. Does that make sense to you?
I think probably. Feeling of connection to something that goes back such a long way, when lots of elements of our life now feel so kind of fast. And I think also getting to take that historic stuff and kind of put your own spin on it can feel like quite a powerful thing to do. And I can kind of see that in lots of the English folk bands. A lot of those bands are sort of young queer people who, it seems strange that they maybe would want to engage with this historical thing, but in lots of ways it makes sense to kind of try and take back that narrative.
And so you use different instrumentation on your albums. I mean, on this one I think you've got alto sax, drums, bass.
Yeah, I got quite obsessed with Breton folk music last year because I've played at a few festivals in Brittany, and they have quite a lot of saxophone and woodwind, and I really enjoyed it. I never thought that I would ever reach for saxophone as an instrument, but it just felt like what was needed, and the drums was really fun. I've not worked with someone with like a full drum kit before. Just any sort of percussionist is fun to work with because a lot of my work is very rhythmic and kind of slightly more energetic, and I guess that just brings it out more. And yeah, the double bass is another one. I've had it on 2 of my albums now, and it's great because the sound of it is kind of quite similar to the sound of my harp when it's being plucked, and it can just feel like a kind of extension of my harp, which is very fun.
So look, we're up away from habitation again, back in the dappled woodland, away from the pine trees too, and more of a mixed woodland. I wonder if here's a place to sing a final song.
Yeah, I think that I can see a few bits of mine through the trees. I think there should be somewhere nice to place my harp final time.
Are you going to play or sing this time?
I'm going to play.
What will you play for us?
I think I'll play a piece called Farwell I fy ieuenctid, which is a Welsh folk tune. I realised I hadn't played any folk tunes yet, so I thought I should do that. And yeah, it's just an arrangement of, like I was saying earlier, the kind of sad Welsh major key thing. And I think this tune really has that. The name means farewell to my youth, and it feels very kind of wistful and sad, but in a major key.
So beautiful and so delicate, Cerys. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And just to see you sitting here in this, I don't know, we should say that there's a scar in the rock behind you where it looks like the rocks have been chipped away down that huge hill into the valley. It's a beautiful setting to hear that. And there were butterflies and there were insects and so on. So listen, thank you so much for bringing us to this glorious part of Wales on this, the hottest day of the year so far, for carrying your harp and for sharing your beautiful music with us. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much.
really hope you enjoyed this episode of Folk on Foot as much as we enjoyed making it. There are over 60 episodes of Folk on Foot for you to explore, featuring amazing artists like Eliza Carthy, Johnny Flynn, The Unthanks, Corrine Polwood, Chris Drever, Sandra Kerr, Catherine Tickell and many, many more. So please do explore our back catalogue. And if you like what we do, we really need your support to keep going. You can become a member and get great rewards, or you can simply buy us a coffee. To do either, and to sign up for our ad-free version, just go to folkonfoot.com/support us. Every penny we get goes back into making more episodes, so please do support us if you can.